Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a shamanic practitioner, an energy healer, a transformation coach, and also the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is located in Westport, Connecticut. So at the center, we do a variety we have trainings, we have different classes. We're going to be starting a new class in the fall of 2022. We also, this summer of 2022, we're having outdoor sound baths. So there's quite a few of those. So I'm just going to put up a slide with our contact info, and you can find out how to contact us through our website. So let's see, here we go. So that's transformationcenterct.com. You can also email us at that address or text or call that number. And on the website, we have all the events listed, and most of them you can just register right there on the website. We also have individual sessions in coaching and healing, and those you can contact us to set up. I have a free consultation call, 30-minute call, so you're welcome to contact me to set that up. So thank you for being here today for the Spiritual Connection Show. As many of you know, it's really all about connection. The reason I started the show, let's see, gosh, is it almost three and a half years ago, I guess, because I really love meeting new people. I love connecting, heart to heart, soul to soul with people, finding out what their journey is, what they're up to, and then sharing that with you, with our viewers, so you can learn from them more about yourself and your spiritual nature. What's in it for you, whether it's about what they've been through in their life or what services they offer you now. Either way. So again, thanks for being here. And I'm really excited today for my guest, Danielle Pitre. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's so funny because I met Danielle, we're thinking it's 3 or 4 years ago now. Definitely a year probably before the pandemic, maybe 2019. Anyway, Danielle, you're going to find out more about her, but I had two wonderful experiences with her, one with a dream work and one with breath work. So she'll tell you all about that. So let me just read a little bit about her, and I'm going to put up her slides so you can see how to contact her through her website. Here she is, Danielle Pitre, Soul Alignment Coach, and that's her website URL. So Danielle is known as the Metaphorical Midwife because she walks with you on your journey of birthing who you truly are. Metaphors depicting who we are show up in various places in our lives, in our dreams, the way we breathe, our bodies, and many other areas. So Danielle works with these messages by helping you to interpret them, revealing what's inside, while she's tending to your development and growth until you're ready to emerge as a more authentic version of yourself. Wow, that sounds so cool. And like I said, I can attest to how well it works, what she does. So again, welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you know that the first question that I like to start with all our guests is, just tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, kind of like how you got started or anything you want to share.
Yeah, if I had to narrow it down, because I feel, of course, like it's been my whole life, that I've in some way been connected to spirit, but didn't know it. When I really started to recognize my own self and my own spirit, I think was when I moved away from my family and kind of had to get to know myself. And this was moving from, I was in Tennessee at the time and moved to New Hampshire. And just started to really get to know who I am more. And as that went on, it led to going to massage school years later. And that is where I would say the real eye-opening journey began. For the beginning, it was just getting to know who I was, but then it was like, wow, these things match me. And I didn't even realize it, and it opened me up to a completely different world.
Wow, that is so cool. And of course, no accident either, I'm sure.
It wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know what was going on, but yeah, it worked out.
But your spirit guides knew, it seems. Yes. Why did massage school have that effect for you? The body work aspect or what?
Well, even when I went to massage school, I didn't know what I was getting into. I just kind of went on a whim with a friend that I was working with. This was when I was living in New Hampshire. We went to school in Colorado, and both just drove there in my car and packed up half the car and just went. And it wasn't so much the body, although I did have several experiences with the body that opened things up. It was a lot of, because Eastern philosophy was baked into the curriculum. And when I would hear things that were more Eastern based, I remember thinking to myself, oh, I've said that sort of thing before. I thought I made that up, or like, oh, that's a thing. I didn't realize that because it was already in me. And then I was being taught that, oh no, this has been around for a while.
That's so interesting, right? So this just brought it out for you then. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's things that you've thought about or felt, and then all of a sudden you realize that, for millennia, that's been around, right?
Yes. Yeah. And through the body, I mean, I did learn energy work. That was part of the curriculum. Somatic therapy was part of it. And working with the physical body, of course, eventually you can't help but to recognize that there's something beyond this physicality there. Something is within all of that. And I remember at one point, we would, of course, take the body in pieces and just work on the legs, just work on the arms, and we got to the back, and everyone was, always so scared about the back because it was seemed like such a big area. And what am I going to do with it? And I remember at one point I was massaging my partner's back, and literally I put my ear down, not on purpose. It was just something that happened because I was like, oh, it's saying something. And I didn't even know what I was doing. But ever since that moment, and this was way back in massage school, it hit me that I was recognizing, it was almost like another voice was coming from the physical body that I would then interpret like, oh, this is what it's saying, and this is what it's saying for you. And kind of how the whole metaphor thing came in, that I just listened to what was being said.
Yeah. Okay. So you were tuning into the energy that was in that section or that part of the body at the time.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah. So that led you then to become more of an intuitive healer, or what would you say?
I would definitely say more intuitive. I was trained clinically as well, which I loved. But as far as for the spiritual aspect of it, definitely more intuitive. And while I do feel like I have been intuitive all my life, in life we get away from that. Maybe not all of us do, but I certainly did. And then you start to, trust intellect and logic and, things that make sense and that sort of thing. And I was there before I went to massage school, using that part of myself, trusting that part of myself, and not even so much trusting that part of myself. I would say maybe mistrusting the other side of myself. That would be more appropriate, that I just was not trusting my intuition or working with it, or living life as though it was a thing to be honored or represented. And so being in school that way, it just brought me all back to that. And honestly, during school, energy work was the thing I was most opposed to, which is funny now.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Okay.
Well, because I was living so much in that, show me kind of world and kind of brain, I was like, "Ugh, energy work, anybody can do that and say that they're doing it, or anybody can do that and say, you
Okay.
know,
I see what you mean. Yeah, of course. You weren't trusting that part of you or anyone else, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Well, I think that's really common in my experience that, like you described, we all are born with that intuition. We have it. We just kind of shut it down a little bit,
yes.
depending while we're growing up, because the world gives us opposite messages.
Mhm.
I've learned is that we can all develop it more. It's
Yeah,
just a matter of, like you said, A, trusting it, that it is real, and then B, practice, right?
yes, yeah. Yeah, and at that time I was not. And now I feel like I am very much over to the other side way more heavily. Um, and I do trust it a whole lot more, and then I can recognize in people when they are like I was.
Yes.
So,
Okay. That makes total sense. So it was a gradual shift for you over a period of years. How would you describe it? How did you come to that understanding or that faith in your intuition?
um, well, actually, it probably was more working with the physical body and just strictly, like this, we're working with the body. And I would prefer that you would have something going on in your physical body so that we can connect that way. you know
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then the more that I worked with the body, like I said, I don't even know how to describe um, the process of when it came about, but it just couldn't be denied anymore. Like maybe that small still voice or whatever you want to call it, that was like, hey, Danielle, this is there there's more going on here. And actually, probably what, thinking about this, what brought me around to more so connecting with my intuition was working with recovery center clients, because there came a point in my massage career that I worked with treatment centers, uh, addictions, eating disorders, uh, trauma, things along those lines.
Mhm.
And I I would work with them in a way of, one of the things that this is, a lot of it hinges on my basic massage school. We have continuing education throughout our years, but just goes all the way back to the beginning, where one of the classes was reading the body as metaphoric, which, of course, then in turn gave me the metaphorical midwife. And I would work with these clients in a way of, whatever it is that you're feeling, we're going to take that piece of you and give you part of your story through what the body is saying. And that's on a physical level. So you're presenting with, and it could be not feeling, that I feel nothing in my body. And the most void that I feel is here, for example. And so I would work with the client and their therapist in a way of, this is what the client said. I'm going to interpret this on a more spiritual soul level to say, that's what the body's saying, but this is what the spirit may be saying. And how does that match up? And then how can we work with that? And the more that I did that, the more that, I would get feedback from the therapist that were like, how do you do this? How it takes me weeks, sometimes months to get this out of a client. How do you do this? I'm like, well, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just taking information and translating it, basically. And it,
Mhm.
and it matches up because, well, you can't separate the mind and body. So
Yeah,
that's how it
yeah,
started.
yeah. Okay. Now I see. Yeah, definitely. Because I've never done body work myself. I mean, I've had it done, but I've never practiced it.
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear it start there and then go into the energy work. Yeah.
Yes.
End up in the same place.
Yes.
And it's so helpful because, like you said, people aren't used to that. They're not used to having that aspect of themselves brought into it.
Exactly. And it goes back to that, the split of the mind between logic and emotion, or logic and intuition, where we live in the more real or the more dense aspects of life. And a dense aspect of life, or the real tangible aspect, would be our body. And so that's where a lot of us live, or can start from, because we're like, well, of course I have a body. Of course things are going on with the body. Whereas on the other side, it's a rare client, or was a rare client, certainly in the past, where someone would start with an emotional or a question about soul or spirit, as opposed to something more real that's going on in their life. Those are two seemingly different and far apart things. And so the body's always a good place to start with, because we all have one.
Right. And so many things end up in our body that we've experienced. That book, The Body Keeps the Score?
Yes.
I think that's a perfect example, because, with the energy work, it's like a lot of the times what I'm doing is extracting energy that's no longer serving. So
Yeah.
gotten stuck, and then prevents them from being what they want,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's all pretty much the same in that regard.
Yeah. And it's getting people to be more in touch with that less tangible aspect of self that does exist, but we just don't give it a place. Yeah.
Right. Helping them tune into that, because, I feel like all the work that I do, and you probably feel the same way, we're just facilitating. It's really the body knows what to do if we just allow it. But I think a lot of the work is helping the client allow that, and to tune into what's possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get stuck in our heads, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because one of the things that I say a lot to clients is, it feels like something. No matter what you're saying, even if it's related to the body or a situation in life, whatever it is, it feels like something. But again, we don't give place to that. No, this is what's going on, and that's that. Yes, but that is true. But this feels like something. For example, not wanting to do something, getting invited to a party, but you don't want to go. And the reality is, no, I don't want to go. But it feels like something. And a lot of the time it can feel like it's forced, like you're forcing it. Well, that, just recognizing every little nuance of what something specific feels like, then you don't have to worry about what your mind tells you, because you can feel that, oh, that's that forced feeling. So that means maybe I don't want to do this, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Yeah. So finding out what's underneath that ostensible reason, but what's really underneath.
Yeah.
Bringing it out, or causing it, I guess, in a way. Like it could be fear,
Mm-hmm.
underlying it, right? Fear of something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could be just a thought pattern, that we have. I get invited to a party and I have to say yes, because that's what proper girls do, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on what's the next thing that you can connect it to. Eventually, it is all going to connect to some pattern that we have, that is this thought process that keeps going over and over and over again. And, learning to let go of those, and then replace them with something that's truer to who we actually are.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Because all the conditioning that we experience as kids take us away from who we really are. It's so, it's heartbreaking when you think about it. And just people, the first step is awareness that that's even going on.
Yeah.
That's been happening our whole lives and we're not even aware of it.
Yeah. I say that all the time, that it just begins with awareness. And, so much of the time we don't necessarily want to just start with that, because well, number one, we want someone to tell us what's up with us.
Right, right.
And
And
then
then tell us how to fix it, right?
exactly. And then like a quick fix.
Quick fix.
Steps to just get from here to there. Oh, now that I know, or now that you told me, well, then let's just get on with it and be done with it. And it so doesn't work that way, which, when I'm working with people, I do want them to understand that this is nothing is a surefire way. Your journey is yours. And I don't know how long it's going to take you to get from A to B, much less A to Z. Let's just get in there and find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because there is, really, there's no destination per se.
Yes. Yeah,
Right?
that is certainly what I feel like.
Yeah.
I've been through so many journeys, and I guess it is just one journey, but I'm like, wow, I feel like I've had so many lives.
Yeah.
I'm a cat.
You mean even in this one life, you've had so many different lives.
Yes. I'm like, oh, that was that, like New Hampshire, for example, and then moving to Colorado for massage school. It's like, oh, that was a life, and that was a life. And
That's right. Because I met you were in Tennessee and you're now in Tennessee again.
yes. Yeah, or back, because I was here before, and then I came back.
Yeah.
So many lives wrapped into the one, but it's all one journey, which is what is so fascinating and can be difficult sometimes, because it doesn't feel maybe like we're getting anywhere. A lot of the time I don't.
Right. It doesn't feel like it. Well, it's because it's not linear, it kind of, I feel like life is more of a spiral if I had to pick an image for it, and I've been reading a lot about that lately. And anyway, I don't want to get into that, but
Oh, I love off topics like that.
so do you feel like that you are an old soul, that you have lived other lives before? Yeah.
I definitely do, because even when I was younger, I didn't say things a lot. Apparently, this is what my parents tell me, although I can remember a lot from when I was young too. But I wouldn't necessarily say things. And granted, I was the youngest of three sisters. But when I would say something, my mom would say a lot, oh, when she does speak, she's wise, or she says something that everyone stops and is like, huh. So that even happened when I was little. I was kind of in my own world. Always have felt that way.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, you kind of strike me as that way too. You're definitely also, you have a lot of wisdom, and it's great. And the fact that you're working with people this way, it's just, I don't know about you, but I love the work, right?
Yes, I'm so glad that I can do something that I enjoy, and that I do myself. It's not just, it doesn't feel like a job or work. It's something that I also do. It's life. It's life. And I get to connect with other people in their life just the same as mine.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that connection and that way that, we're all one. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And we're here for each other. I love that aspect of it as well. So what do you do the most of right now? I know you work with metaphors. Is it dreams or breath work or everything?
Yeah, to me, it's all the same stuff. It's just a different way to get the answers from the same thing, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like exercise. One person might like kickboxing, another person might like yoga. It's all exercise. It's just different ways of doing the same thing. So dream work is one of the things that I use. Breath work, of course, is another. Meditation and mindfulness, somatic work, so understanding from the body's perspective first and foremost, energy work, of course. So taking a variety of things and then just using what feels like it's the best option for the moment.
So it's very individualized. If somebody comes to you, they usually have an issue or something they want help with, and then you can determine based on that what would work best for them in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. And, one I always leave out, but one that gets used quite a lot is, of course, I call myself a coach, although that's not quite the word I would put on it, but that's what people might know more now in this day and age. So there is that back and forth where it's just a questioning. I'm insightfully drawing up questions in my mind that might help you to bring out what it is that you actually need to bring out. You're the one with the answers, though. I'm not. I'm just helping you along.
Which is exactly what a coach does. Like we ask empowering questions. So
yes,
clients, in just coming up with the answer, it opens things up for them.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
considering the question even, right?
Yes, questions that we wouldn't necessarily ask ourselves, but you have a minute to just pause and let me sink into that question. That's interesting. I've never even explored it before. Well, now's your chance.
Yeah. That's why it's great to have a coach. I do a lot of continuing ed myself, and especially in the coaching area, well, both healing and the coaching. And I love working with coaches and healers, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Working with them myself, it just opens up your world. I have what I do. One of the practices that I do actually in the morning is writing, but I sometimes am my own. I see other coaches, yes, but I will, if I have something going on, I'll just ask myself a question as though I'm me and a coach.
Okay. So you play both roles in that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see what comes from that. I mean, you kind of have to separate yourself a little bit, but my morning sessions, just with myself, are the best sometimes because they reveal so much to me about me.
That's a great idea. Do you also work remotely online with clients?
I do, and especially now, and that's probably the biggest aspect, other than giving a massage. You can't do that remotely, but so the energy work, even anything, is more so online, everywhere, just not intimacy.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to put up your slide again so people can contact you on your website, with any questions. And I assume you do like a free consultation to get started if they just want to call, anything like that.
Yeah.
So Danielle Pitre, Soul Alignment Coach, the Metaphorical Midwife.com. I love that. How did you come up with that name?
Well, that's kind of I don't know if we have time for that, but that's sort of another long story.
We have about almost a minute. So
okay. Well, just because metaphors, again, were part of my basic massage education, that's something that we use to interpret the body. And then the midwife, all my life, that's another message or feedback that I had gotten through people. You strike me as a midwife, or, I see this in you, and it related to being a midwife. And I love things that grow. I mean, it gets me so excited. Plants just love to see things grow. And so it just kind of turned into this, well, that is what you are. You help people birth themselves metaphorically. So,
yeah, it totally fits. I love it. It's very creative. So I love it with that. So we are going to have to wrap up, but thank you so much for being on the show. It's great to connect. I hope you'll get back to New England and come to Connecticut.
I will.
I would love to have you come to the center and do some of your breath work, because as I said before, I really, really got a lot out of that.
I will definitely let you know if I go up there, because I do quite often. So.
Well, good. Well, thanks again for being on the show, and all the best.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.